The truck Davies, out the truck, and at home, in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. So it is a beautiful evening, quite bright and warm, 21 degrees. That's just weather for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know what weather is like where you are, look at your own bloody windy. Thank you, Madam Director. Anyway, what brings David to your screens tonight? It would appear that the BBC in Scotland, Sky News, I haven't seen much ITV or Channel 4, but it would appear that the BBC and Sky News in Scotland are campaigning for the Labour Party. What happened to impartiality in state broadcasters? Put Sky News to one side for a second. What happened to impartiality in the BBC and political neutrality? Yesterday, it would appear that Pacific Quay in Glasgow were campaigning for the Labour Party. Yesterday, our First Minister and elected representative presented a paper on a written constitution for an independent Scotland. A very important issue to the people of Scotland. Because remember, it's sort of 50-50 in the polls right now. And it has been for the last 22 months. And yet, Mr. Yusuf's speech yesterday on a written constitution for the Scottish people in the event of independence, which is the big debate here in Scotland, has been since 2011. In fact, David and I have been working on it since 2007. And yesterday, BBC Scotland was campaigning for the Labour Party in Scotland. And, of course, Humza Yusuf has just been interviewed in Sky News, where he had to tell the presenter of Sky News off. He'd tell her, 3 months in the job, and you're asking me. And it would appear that the polls are being ignored by the BBC and Sky News. They were talking about a poll saying Labour would take half the seats in Scotland. They were talking about a poll that was commissioned and had 4 or 5 different methodologies put to it. Carol Vorderman spoke about this. She said that if you take, thank you very much, John. That is fine. Thanks, John. Now, they were talking about a poll that said that Labour would take half the seats in Scotland. The majority of the polls have said that Labour will take 8 seats in Scotland, and the majority of them will come from the Conservative Party. Not for the SNP, but from the Conservative Party. As people dump the Conservative Party as the party of union and take up the Labour Party as the party of union. But what we watched yesterday, and again today, on mainstream radio and mainstream TV, and remember, I'm only seeing clips on YouTube because I don't watch television. You won't hear any television in the background here. Was pure propaganda. And then we've got wee Ian Murray, the single Labour MP and shadow Scottish Secretary. In other words, shadow Governor General, telling us that the Unionists will not allow us democracy. We will not be allowed democracy. They will prevent us at all costs from voting democratically on our future. Supreme Court, are you listening? You said there was no oppression. When somebody's not allowed to express their democratic will, that is the very definition of oppression. The very definition of oppression under the Human Rights Act. Which brings us to something else that was interesting today. Apparently the Alpha Party has commissioned a legal eagle who headed up the British Legal Institute on International Law for 10 years, who's criticised the Supreme Court's judgment and said it was wrong. They misinterpreted international law. That's all brilliant stuff. Enjoyed it. Thought it was great fun. But there are three fundamental questions here. How they fined for it, as a party only 7,000 members. The second question's got to be, who are they going to appeal this to? Which court are they going to appeal the Supreme Court's decision to? It's all right, this professor of law, well-respected professor of law, having an opinion on a judgment. But the big question is, how does that opinion overturn a court ruling if you can't find a court to overturn it? So where do we go with this information that the Alpha Party and this professor has come out with? Well, somebody want to answer that question for Davies? Do we take it to the International Court in The Hague? Because I was just sitting on a shelf for 20 years to get round here. There are much bigger things to be fried in that court, like genocides, illegal wars, all sorts of carry-on to be dealt with in The Hague before we get anywhere near disrespect to democracy. Anywhere near. So the findings today that were issued for the a good professor, I can't pronounce his name, otherwise I would name him. But that's all very well for a well-respected top 500 lawyer on the planet saying the Supreme Court made a mistake in interpreting international law on the right to self-determination. But then we've got to find a court to overturn what the Supreme Court said. So, all very nice noise. And it was good work by the Alpha Party. Really good work by the Alpha Party, but where do we take it? Who do we go to overturn the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom's ruling? But as I say, the reason why I'm here to talk to you tonight is I want people to get it into their heads right now that Pacific Key and the BBC Scotland, as they call it, at Pacific Key, is actively campaigning for the Labour Party here in Scotland. And they have to be called out over it. Now, if BBC Scotland represents the people of Scotland neutrally as a state broadcaster, then they should have had the First Minister, the elected First Minister of Scotland's white paper on a written constitution for Scotland as their number one item in the news agenda here in Scotland. But no, they campaigned for the Labour Party yesterday. And the number one issue on the BBC in Scotland yesterday was Sir Keir Starmer, latest Surgeon to Scotland, to tell us that he was going to give us the headquarters of GB Energy. That wasn't what he was doing, actually. He was standing in Edinburgh telling us how those bastards next door are going to steal our wealth. Again. They did it with the oil. They're about to do it with renewables. The reason why he's going to put HQGB Energy, which will never ever come to being in Scotland, is because this is where all the energy is. This is where the oil, the gas, the hydro, the wind energy and tidal energy is. That's why he was saying he would put the headquarters in Scotland. And then he has the cheek to tell us to make us feel more included in GB. And yet his shadow Secretary of Scotland is making statements saying that they, the Unionists, will deny our democratic will at every turn, no matter how the Scottish people vote. Let that sink in, people. That's why Davies on your screen tonight. We had the liar, the Labour Party's version of Boris Johnson, the man that stole the Labour movement in the UK by lying to the left-wing members of that Labour Party. Up here in Scotland, telling us how he's going to steal our resources and make no apology for it. There was no talk about levelling up the national grid so that Scottish producers didn't have to pay a fortune to put their electricity into the grid, while English producers are paid to put their electricity into the grid. He wasn't up here telling us how he's going to level up the energy market. He was up here telling us how he's going to steal Scotland's resources to bring down the price of electricity in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. They'll bring our prices down. We're still having to pay the national grid a fortune to provide the majority of energy which is produced in the United Kingdom. Starmer is a liar, a proven liar, and Starmer is a self-confessed Tory who is rewriting the Labour Party's DNA. And anybody in Scotland who thinks voting for Starmer is a good thing because they're getting rid of the Tory party, try and get it into your nappers, you silly buggers, and the people of England, Wales and Northern Ireland, that Starmer has already said that if he sounds conservative it is because he is, and he intends to rewrite the DNA of the Labour Party. Let that sink in. If you think it's me that's saying that, I'm not the only person who's saying that. People like Kernow Demo and Owen Jones are saying that. Left-wing commentators, Political Joe, Navarra News, everybody has pointed out that this man's a liar, the man's a Tory, and he is moving the Labour Party way to the right of the fascists that we see down the road in England right now. Starmer is power at any cost. No power for the people, just power at any cost. His line to the Labour Party to win the leadership, his statement that he will not overturn any bills or any laws that have been put in place by this Tory party, he would let them bed in and then offer something called guidance. Wow. There are a lot of fucking stupid people on these islands. Let's hope the Scots are not amongst them. Let's hope the Scots look at these people and say, nah, you're two cheeks of the same arse and you're heading down the same fascist fucking route. Huh? Make Brexit work, Starmer. I'll tell you what, I'll stake my house on the fact he fucking canny. Anyway, BBC Scotland are now acting as campaign agents for the Conservative Party, for the Labour Party here in Scotland. They were, up until Bojo's demise, and looking at Dross, the clown, operating for the Conservatives in Scotland as a campaign machine. But because the Conservative Party are crashing, they are now throwing their weight. BBC Scotland, think about that, it's supposed to be an impartial broadcaster, are now throwing their weight behind the Labour Party in Scotland. And that's not just me that's saying that. I'm just one of many commentators. You'll find that we Ginger Davies say that. You'll probably find that Gordon Ross has said that. You'll probably find that all independent broadcasters say that here in Scotland. BBC Scotland on Pacific Quay are now in campaign mode for the Labour Party. Bear that in mind when you're listening to news tomorrow morning, folks. Alright, anyway, I just popped on because it needed to be said. Pacific Quay and BBC Scotland are now in full campaign mode for the Labour Party. Because yesterday, the biggest story in Scotland should have been the First Minister of Scotland releasing a white paper on a written constitution for an independent Scotland, because that is the biggest debate here in Scotland and has been since 2011. Bear that in mind, whether you're a unionist or a nationalist. The truth is, this is the biggest debate here in Scotland, and that is what BBC Scotland should have had as number one on their website and in their news. Have a great evening. Enjoy your evening. Bye for now. Say goodbye, Madam Director. Goodbye, Madam Director.